What's up, everybody? Kevin Wilson with the BMX Podcast. John Salami, Danny Pena back. We're going a double header today, and we're in the middle of an argument. Oh, not an argument. I'm protesting the last trivia episode that I had with Tim Testa, and during that trivia contest, Danny asked me a question about who Billy Griggs rode for, but I can't remember the year that you said. Do you remember the year?
I think it was 83,
4
or 80. Might have been 84. But I think I said the question was in an ad. He was in the ad? Who was the writer in the ad? And it was Billy Griggs. And
so I guess I thought I suspected that it was CW, but then I go Mongoose, and then I just watched the Billy Griggs episode again on Dirty Knob, and he goes, "Yeah, I went to Mongoose." I'm all, "Whoa, what year was that?"
Yeah, it's weird because Billy was one of my favorite amateurs. So I know he was on Schwinn, Mongoose, CW, Redline, Haro, Iron Horse. Yeah, he's raced for, and he did some time on GT. He worked for GT. He did some developing with the frames. I kind of followed.
Here's a great fact. Yeah. He was my landlord for a couple of years.
Oh, really?
No way.
Yeah, I lived at his house.
Did you really?
Yeah. I have the landlord trilogy. TC, Todd Corbett, lived with him, lived with Darren Mitchell, and I lived with Billy. So I call those guys my landlord trilogy.
That is funny, man.
Yeah. Billy's great to live with. You just can't leave any water spots in the chrome sink or he gets crazy.
I could actually probably understand that because of how meticulous his bike always looked.
Yep.
Like I've seen him and I met him one time. I think it was in it was 1993 at Summer Nationals, and he just got done with his moto, which he won, and he was on Haro, and I go, Billy, can I get a picture with you, man? Can I get an autograph? And he was gassed, but he was like, yeah, man, no problem, and he signed the magazine and took a snapshot with me. There was no cell phones. So, he took the snapshot. It was pretty cool. He's a cool guy. When I
lived with him, it might have been like 89 or 90. He said, listen, I'm going to have the shiniest bike at the Grands under those lights, and everything will be chrome except for the tires and the grips because I can't get anything. And he made that thing. It was disgustingly shiny, and he went under those lights, and it was like badass. That was a big goal of his, was to have the shiniest bike.
I've commented on that. Sorry, Kevin, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I commented on that in some of my own videos, and there were certain riders that were, all their stuff was meticulous, and definitely Billy Griggs and Mike King. Their stuff was always just so beautiful, like to look at.
Beckering's very famous.
Beckering stuff. Yeah, definitely, man. I love that. The detail they put into their stuff. I just thought it was super pro. You know what I mean?
Billy did that because his dad, Buck, was a truck driver, and his dad's trucks were always meticulous. So his dad, I love Buck, he's a great guy. He told Billy, you better have a clean bike. I look at my truck. It's clean. So Billy learned that from his dad.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
Dude, I'm a truck driver. Dude, I've never washed my truck. I piss in my truck, for Christ's sake, man.
That's a little bit too much information.
So Danny, the other day, Danny, I buy this magazine the other day, and I'm thinking of you, right? Because I'm like, man, he's got to go through this thing. This is Holy Grail stuff. And I actually I bought it off of Byron Friday for an undisclosed amount of money because I don't want anybody to think I'm loony.
Okay.
But the value of the magazine on the cover was $1.99. I paid a lot more than that, but I totally thought of you, Danny. I was like, man, what a great book to go through. Like, this is...
Man, and I'm going to let you introduce what you've got your hands on here, but Kevin kind of told me about it, and I was drooling. Like, man, if I could just get my hands and just go through that page by page, that would be the greatest video ever.
You could do it at Dirty Fest, but I don't want to get this thing out. This thing's going to stay wrapped up and covered. And
dude, I'd be afraid to touch it. It's kind of like, I don't know, an historic document that I don't want to get my fingers on. I'm afraid I'd ruin it.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll do a little introduction of what we're talking about.
Okay, go for it.
My name is Kevin Wilson, by the way. Welcome to Dirty Knobs. Oh my God.
Oh!
Oh my God!
Now we got a blooper reel.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, dude! Oh, what? Okay, my name's Kevin Wilson. Thank you very much for coming to the BMX Podcast. Thank you very much. John Salami Danny Pena is on, and we're talking about if you're on Facebook or on the BMX Legends Society, Lunch with Legends YouTube channel, you know that John has recently purchased or acquired not just a first edition or first public. Let me get this straight. John has acquired the first BMX Action magazine ever printed. Is that accurate, John?
No, it's the first issue of the issues printed. It's not the very first one. I can tell you about the stories about that though. It's part of when this magazine came out. I got one of the issues of it. Clint Miller checked in the other day. He has a copy. Brian Gass has a copy. I'm trying to figure out how many are out in the wild. That would be interesting. Byron Friday on Lunch with Legends on YouTube, my podcast, he said he saw the very first one ever because after they were racing, they all went to eat afterwards, and Bob was laughing, and Byron's like, what are you laughing about? And he pulls it out, and that was the first one ever. So
wow.
Dude, I totally misunderstood. I thought that you had the very first copy ever made.
I would have paid way more than the ridiculous price I paid.
But
that's
still,
what I thought you had the first one.
I don't know. Issue 1 though is still iconic. Issue 1. I mean, what year was that one?
So it says it's got 2 dates on it, right? Which is oddly enough. It says December 76, January 77.
So I kind of get it because December was, by the time it released, it was probably 77.
That's a true magazine fan right there. Look at Danny.
Yeah. So that's probably what it is. Yeah.
So to go back to in September, I went and visited Sal Zuner, his son. Sal Zuner was the first NBL #1 pro. He's a New Jersey icon, factory DG thruster. So his son, friends of the Zuner family. Jen and I have been friends for 30 years. And I went to visit him, and he said, "Hey, I got a box of my dad's stuff. I really want you to have it." And I go, "Well, I'm not interested. That's your father's stuff. He passed away." And he goes, "Well, if you don't take it, I don't know what I'm going to do with it." I go, "All right, what do you got?" So I go in there, and in there is one of his dad's jerseys. And I was like, this is my hero, right? Sal Zuner was my hero in New Jersey. So he gave me one of his jerseys. He also gave me this.
Oh, look at that. Is that issue 1 of BMX Plus?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. God, dude, he has issue 1 of BMX Action and BMX Plus.
Yeah.
That's just nuts. That's nuts.
So then he goes, there's some other stuff in there. I go in the box. There's a hand-cut Haro plate, not screened, hand-cut by Bob Haro for his dad when he was on DG. And I said, "Man, I cannot take this. I can't." He goes, "Well, what do you want to do? Throw it out?" I go, "No, please." He goes, "I want you to have it for what you do for the community, and you love my dad, big fan of my dad's." And I go, "Yeah, absolutely." So, Greg Hill's on the cover. That's pretty cool. So
wow.
So, yeah, I ended up getting both, and I knew Danny, you'd be like, "There's no way."
Man, I'm telling you, I would have to make a 2-parter on that one because I would have to go so slow on that. And that's, my racing experience didn't start till 82, but I was following the sport as early as probably 80. So I was already looking at magazines and kind of getting familiar with it,
And
so
there's Sal Zuner on the cover of BMX Action. Now, I'm filled with information. I'm sorry, just cut me off when you need to.
No, go.
But I got stories. So I saw this in the magazine store, and I said to myself, like, it says #1 New Jersey on the plate. Like, I live in New Jersey. Who is this guy, right? How is he like this? He's on the cover of how do I do this? How do I become #1 New Jersey pro? I didn't even think about nationals I'm like, who is this God? So, and I talk to Jen about this all the time. And this is what motivated me to like do the state series in my state because I wanted a New Jersey #1 plate. There's a story behind that, but we don't have time for that. But my mom always used to tell me it's too expensive. Well, those magazines, $2 for a magazine.
Yeah.
So then I see this one, Dennis Dane on the cover. And this is the one my mom finally goes, okay, here's $2. So, and I tell Dennis, I go, you were the first person I ever brought home as a BMX guy on the cover. So yeah, and then when I'll wrap this up quick, so Sal just starts handing me like Bobby Encinas on the cover. He sends me, how iconic is this? Harry Leary on the cover.
That one's amazing. I have. Hold on, John. I'm gonna show you something. I gotta take it off the wall, of course, because I got it framed.
Oh shit! Nice.
Yeah, I got that one. I reviewed it. My cousin gave me this, and as soon as I reviewed it, I go, "Oh, I'm framing that." And then he told me, he knows I love this stuff. My cousin James, he just gave it to me. I'm so appreciative because I won't ever open this up again. Because I got this after Harry died, and I'm like, oh my God, are you sure you don't want it back?
Wow.
And he said, no, man, I want you to have that. And I got a Greg Hill one too. I'll show you that one.
Nice.
you know what? I have a first edition too, but it's from a Hustler.
Oh, we can't share that one. We'll get. And I got the Greg Hill one.
I got something special from Greg, but it's a long story. We don't have time for it. I'll let him tell you.
All right, we can do that.
So then there's like June of '78. Like and I got these from Sal Jr. and I was like, I don't know how to repay this kid. Like, this is incredible stuff. So anyway.
Those I would go crazy with those. Just the ones you showed me alone. That's great content right there.
Where are you based at? You're in NorCal, right?
Yeah. I'm in Stockton, California. I'm near Lodi, California. I'm very north Stockton.
209.
What's that?
209.
Yeah, exactly. 209.
Yeah, the Diaz brothers, the Stockton Slap. You know about that, right?
I met him recently on accident. I was in Santa Cruz with my girlfriend, and I made a fool of myself. I'm like, hey, man, what's up? I'm from Stockton. And she goes, come on, just leave him alone.
Yeah.
You talking about Nick Diaz? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I could cruise up there at one time and bring it all, and we'll just you can just do your show, and I'll just sit in the back and let you
we can knock one out at the same time or something. It would be pretty cool.
Whatever.
And then Kevin, obviously, he's my partner in crime right now. So whatever you guys want to go page by page, we could even do this and just go through them. We just have to figure out an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
We go through it. Yeah.
Danny, funny story. When I was talking to John earlier, I go, well, I think I misunderstood his text because I thought he was inviting both of us. I don't know. I still don't, not sure. But I kind of stepped on your thunder if he was trying to get to you. And I go, we're kind of partners, but we're still dating. We haven't made the commitment yet.
Yeah, we're still doing our own shows. That's cool. I like the freedom of doing my own thing, but I love doing the collabs too. So that's really
we're seeing other people.
No, but when I saw it was a magazine related thing, so I was like, well, Danny would love this stuff. And you've had me on. It's everybody. I want to have shares with everybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was funny, but I was buying this like, oh man, can you imagine Danny going through this like shaking dirt?
Is that magazine sealed up, or can you open it up?
No, I can open it up. Byron sits in this little thing, but so. I got this story told to me tonight by a mutual friend of all of ours.
Okay.
So I said, man, look at this cover. So Brian Lewis is on the cover, right? And iconic Brian Lewis, he was fast as hell. So I get told tonight, well, that wasn't the original cover. Now, I don't think this is, no one's ever talked about this, but this particular person told me, and I go, this is like mind-blowing news, right? If no one's ever talked about this. So the original cover was this.
It looks similar, huh?
Okay, so this is the ad that they ran saying that this new magazine was coming out, but that's Kenny Mingus on the cover of the one in that you could order when it came out. It was Brian Lewis. So technically, Kenny Mingus, Pedal Power. Was he
Wow.
actually like the first dude ever on the cover? No one really ever talked about this. So yeah, that's Kenny on the cover. And it's here, I'll scroll down so people can see it. But this is the subscribe now. Look, subscribe now. $3.50 for a full year, $3.50.
Wow, that's super cheap.
Yeah. But Kenny Mingus was technically the first cover ever.
That's crazy.
What was he riding? Was he on a Rink Raider or something?
I talked to Mark a little bit, and he said that he was Pedal Power. He was Rink Raider. I'd have to blow that up. I'd have to do some research on that. It looks like a Pedal Power jersey, but yeah, I mean, Kenny won. Kenny was amazing. He won the Cal Cup and in Corona and everything. So isn't that crazy? I don't think anyone's ever brought that up or talked about it. So
man, that's like the holy grail right there.
How many first editions were printed? Do we know the circulation number for that first issue?
You know what? Because I was a magazine freak, just like you guys, in here, usually they had a page that told you what the circulation was. I've only looked at this twice, and I don't think I saw it when I went through it. Like you guys say, I was going to put this in far away. Now I'm looking at it again, so I can't help it. They should have had something in. They should have had a circulation in here. You know, Bob Osborne would know.
Yeah. And I understand that Bob has every single issue in those binders.
Yeah.
Lord. So he would have them. I mean, he's the creator of the magazine, but he's got, from what I heard from the Dirty Knobs podcast, when they interviewed him, that he has the entire set of these magazines that are, at one point you could order those 3-ring binders.
I remember,
type things, yeah. And so he has all of them stored, and I was like, man, if I could just get my hands on on those, have a field day.
I would love to ask him, hey, how come Kenny Mingus never made the cover? He'd be like, wait, what? that would be pretty cool.
That's a good trivia question. Who was on the supposed first cover of BMX Action?
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be great. That'd be a great question.
So it would be, because I didn't know.
In true Danny Pena style, should we go page by page?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's take a look at some of that stuff.
Okay, so I can literally probably switch my phone around and go straight down.
Okay.
I guess.
What do you think, Kev? That good?
Danny, is that the way we do it?
That's exactly how I do it. My phone's on a tripod, and I turn it down so all you see is my hands and the magazine.
I don't have a tripod, and I'm also a professional cinematographer. That's really sad to say. My tripods are. Shoot, I'm trying to figure how I can get my phone back to normal. I got to switch my phone around to.
Take your time, because I got to see this.
Shoot the other way. Let me see here. I'll try that. Nope. Remove from stage. No. Should have tried this before. Oh,
this is what happens when guys our age try to use technology.
Messed it up.
You'll come back.
No, I'm good. I'm just playing around.
Well, you're there. You go. I think we're stuck with that, dude.
Oh, man. I have to switch around. I could go this way. What they say in what's that movie? Technology.
Was that Napoleon Dynamite? I love technology. Yeah. You can do a number like this if you want. Just go, hey, this is page 1, and we can kind of go through it if you want to do that.
Look at the smoothness that he does this, right? So good. you got this shit down. All right, here we go. We're going Danny style. So
yeah, there you go.
Kevin, do we have to fix this?
That looks good. So looking at that first page, that's FMF. Now, can you guys tell me what FMF stood for?
Yeah.
Flying Machine Factory.
Damn, Kevin.
What is this, a trivia show, Kevin?
Dang. Yeah, he just jumped on it. I was like, somebody told me one time that it standed for fast mother effer.
No.
And I was like, that doesn't sound right, dude.
No, Kevin.
And I can't remember, it was a friend of mine that told me that.
Kevin's warmed up already. He's got a show under his belt. That's not fair.
I'm sorry, thunder, man. Flying Machine Factory.
Yep.
There you go. So
everybody,
if you
everybody that has a Ford truck has to have the FMF sticker on over their Ford logo.
okay, so that goes beyond BMX then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Motocross.
What was
Yeah.
on the inside page of that, John? There was an
Yeah.
ad to the left of it. So can you show me what that was?
Sure. R&R Racing, North Hollywood. Yep.
Wow, look at that. Now, there's a couple key things about this that I love. First of all, look at the bar position on his handlebars. It's straight up and down, which is not too bad, but look how small they are. If you see how his positions are on the grips,
Yeah.
his hands are very close together, and you can see, if you look closely, his knee is damn near hitting the handlebars.
Yeah.
And that gives you an idea of how small the race bikes were back then, but that was probably considered super trick. And I don't know who the rider is. I don't know if it says that or not. Does it say who the rider is on that at
No,
all?
it's just R&R.
I love it. I
And then
love
if
that.
there's
That's awesome.
anything that enclosed is $2 for a T-shirt iron-on set. Aren't they nice?
Which was pretty typical of the time.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I have a question for you, man. Who did Brian Lewis ride for?
Geez, that's a great question, because this is just like 2 years before my time.
Okay.
Well, here's the photos.
It almost looks like Scorpion because of the colors.
Yeah, but Scorpion wasn't around in that year. This is 77, so they didn't come around till mid 80s.
Yeah, see, that's pre me, but I'm gonna dig deep and try to figure these things out.
I'll just text Mark Rink. He'll be like, "Listen, you moron. Here's who."
What do we got on the next page, man? I can't wait to see it.
So actually, Mark actually did send me that thing about Mingus. So I have to. There's the contents. If you can get that bigger, Kevin, or something.
This says Continito.
Yep.
I love that, man.
Let me just get a touch more light for you. There you go. There you go.
Oh yeah, that's great. So I can't tell. Look, I can see some tough wheels there in the third frame down.
Yeah,
and then
Tinker Juarez's photo in there when he.
So where it says stars, is that Tinker Juarez on the top there underneath the bike?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that one dude on the bottom's getting pretty rad. I can't see who the rider.
That might be Building Leapin' Jones.
That's really awesome.
Who just passed away recently? So.
Oh yeah, I heard about that actually.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin, you know what? We were talking about how much the circulation was. I believe this tells you all the circulation down here. I'll check that out and let you guys know. This might tell us what it is. So, and this is Scott's, it's Bob's editorial thing, his first. So this would have been the first time he ever did one of his editorials, which is like, that's iconic as hell too, right?
It definitely. I think that eventually turned to Scottomania.
Yep.
Where,
there is a Scottomania in here.
Oh, is there really? Okay.
Yeah, check out this iconic Tom Lund picture.
Oh, he's wearing the boots, right? Kevin, check out the shocks on that bike, man.
Yeah,
that thing was probably 50 pounds.
I love suspension BMX bikes. Which one is that? Is that like a Gary Littlejohn or something?
See, I wasn't a shock guy. I came in a little bit after that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe, those are Motomags for sure. Those are got to be.
Those definitely Motomags.
First generation Motomags, probably.
Man, full suspension bike. So I had a full suspension bike that I got in the late 70s. It was called a Black Widow, and my dad got it. My mom and dad got it for me for Christmas. And Kevin, you had asked me if I ever got a bike for Christmas, and I told you no, and that was wrong because later on I thought to myself, no, I got that Black Widow, and the full suspension bike, like you could literally sit on it and bounce because of the shock that was in the middle. And eventually that was very tiresome for me because I was small, the bike was heavy. So my dad removed the shock and put a piece of steel there for me to stiffen the frame so I could ride it like a regular bike. That's all my experience with suspension bikes. I never raced it. Yeah, that's crazy though.
Yeah, I had fenders and the big fat seat that said MX on the back, and that's But then as soon as the Cycle Pro Macho came, then I had to jump on that. So, and that was 79, I think. So here's a white Lightning ad. They were based in North Hollywood. White Lightning bikes. There you go.
Okay.
Is that a regular gooseneck on there for the stem? It's not like a tough neck, huh?
No, that's
no, that's a single stem. Remember those things?
single pinch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
God, the single stems, we used to put our foot on it and pull the bars back. Pull the bars back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you stripped out the bars, you had to put a nail in the stem to hold those bars. Yeah, or a aluminum can.
And I'd always come home and my dad's like, those bikes weren't meant to do that. That's what he said.
Right. Right.
There you go, Danny, with the Scotomania.
There's the Scotomania. So that picture right there in the corner, that is super iconic too. I see that online all the time when people are talking about Scott. That picture is pretty popular right there. Yeah. And that whole ad right there would be really don't that whole article. Don't read it, John, because it's long. But I would be really interesting to go over that and see what his thoughts were on that.
He was always. I always say this too. Like he had his demons for sure. His demons took his life from him, but he was always so nice to me. Like he always wondered what I was doing, And I was racing single A, or B, and I don't know, what do you care? But he really cared about people's personalities and people that were cool and fun. He was a cool dude. Like I know everyone's got, he did this, but I don't have that with Scott. I always had him. He's so nice to me. He was at ODI for a while. I get a package of grips every month. He's like, don't worry about it. Just run our stuff. And I was like, he's such a cool dude. Like, anyway, that's my Scott thing.
With your opinion on that, John, really quick, with Scott, having his personal issues, if he never encountered that, do you think he would have saw SE racing all the way through to where it is today? Or was selling SE part of the issues he was having, or was it all financial? Do you know?
I think the issues he had stem from him losing it and not running it efficiently. I think Mike Devitt did a huge part of that.
Okay.
I know guys that work there were like, it wasn't so bountiful there. It was, at certain points, but then it started to not be, and then I think that's what spun him a little bit. But I don't ever want to speak ill of him. But there's some stories out there. You're like, no way.
Yeah.
He drove a rental car from the East Coast to the West Coast and never called back to say, hey guys, I'll be right back. He just fucking laughed.
Oh.
Yeah, he was on the look. I love Scott. I went to his funeral. He's amazing. I loved him. But man, funny stories. He jumped in a rental car and said, I'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead to the store, and drove to California. And they're like, is he ever coming back? Where did he go?
Oh my God.
And that was before cell phones, I believe. So he was just driving. Anyway, let's move on.
All right.
This is J&G, where the J&G Manufacturing. This is their bike.
Wow.
Whatever that is.
So now that we're in the 70s, so a lot of these bike manufacturers are going to be foreign to me now, because this is before I actually got into it. But it's interesting to see that we've already seen a couple of ads for bicycles I have never even heard of.
Yeah,
so that's
the
really
White Lightning I heard of. Now we got the J&G. They were made out of Phoenix, and they got the Cheetah and the Super Cheetah.
Wow. Does that ring a bell, Kevin?
What's that?
Does that ring a bell, that Cheetah and Super Cheetah? Do you?
Yeah, I've heard of Cheetah, and I've been called a Cheetah too.
For real?
You a cheetah, man.
That was pretty good. Because
just make sure you got the joke, man. Come on.
And being around in '79, I don't remember like cheetahs blowing up at the track, or you know what I mean, like the White Lightnings. So how long was the run of these companies? I would love to know, because how long did J&G make a Cheetah? Were they West Coast only? They're here, they're in Arizona, but like, did they not come back east, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what Kevin and I were talking about a couple episodes back. Is we were talking about iconic manufacturers, and we talked about Mongoose. So I think Mongoose kind of set the whole tempo of bikes in the 70s, or set the benchmark, I should say. Mm-hmm. So this is what a quality BMX bike looks like. And I don't know how accurate I am about that. I don't know if somebody came out, well, maybe Redline, So those are probably the two manufacturers that came out hitting heavy, and everybody else is trying to catch up. I don't know what your opinion is on that, John.
Yeah, I talked to Byron Friday a ton about this the other day. He's so knowledgeable. I love him. He's great. He was saying like he would go to Redline and go, well, we're taking these bikes apart. He told me that a bike shop, Canoga Bikes, literally was taking bikes apart, raising the bottom brackets, welding them on, because anybody whose dad was a fabricator got the cool bikes. So there were so many custom bikes being built those days. And then you look at Gary Turner, Craig's dad was like, he was a dragster guy. So why not just whip up a BMX bike? So he said that the first he remembers was Canoga had bikes, and the old Stingrays would have the long tubes going all the way up to the top tube. Well, they would just cut those off, put gussets in them, weld them. So anybody whose dad or uncle or whatever was a fabricator, man, they had the sweet bikes. Jeff Botino told me I rode a girl's Stingray when I first started because I didn't want any bars in my way. I was like, that's so cool. So
that's a great story.
Wasn't it about distribution back then? Like, you can make a really bitchin' bike, but if you don't have the ability to distribute it across the country or across the state, you really can't do nothing about it, right? You have to go to each individual bike shop and try to sell the R&R or a J&G or whatever. Unless you would have to get a distributor and let them do the work for you, basically. It would see that I would bet that has something to do with a lot of these smaller guys petering out or not making it nationwide because just simply doesn't distribution.
Well, Gary Turner would bring his bikes out to Western Sports and sell them there because these guys probably made so little, right? Like Gary probably made 4 or 5 a month, right, for the kids, and I don't think as mass production goes, that's like Danny's saying, like mass production. I believe Redline and Mongoose were mass producing bikes, right? Where Gary was just coming up and building bikes. And for sure he mass produced, but the distribution, I don't think the numbers were that high back then to have something, but here's J&G running and White Lightning running a full page ad in a magazine. That wasn't cheap. So
not at all.
And it says White Lightning Manufacturing, dealers wanted in new locations. It says right here. So
wow.
They're just trying to get in the bike shops, I think,
Yeah.
So it was so new. I believe it was so new that getting a big rider like David Clinton or something, everybody could see him. Where do we get that bike? Oh, we sell it right down the street at Canoga Bike or Peddlers West or whatever. So interesting thing. Next page is R.L. Osborne's first ever shot. I mean, that's a hell of a way to come out of the gate. Get that better for you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. We were having heavy discussion about RL regards to racing before freestyle. So he looked like he was kind of in racer mode.
Yeah, he's testing the R&R CR1. So,
Jeez. Kevin, that's what we were just talking about, man.
Look at that. Look at that. It's insane.
Look at how much he's boosting. That's like in the 70s, dude.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That's like totally comparable to what you would see today. That is amazing.
That's sick, dude. He could, that's a great shot.
And like, here's so Bill Leapin Jones is starting his testing phase. Like, look at that, so good,
dude. He's doing a full tabletop, man. These guys
supposedly he was one of the first. He and David Clinton.
Yeah,
but like box bars, who would jump these things? I did a test. for BMX Plus one time with the POW guys, and they gave us all the low end bikes, and I was on a Haro, and we were just like scared to test these bikes because they would like just implode. And then with the magazines are like, if we advertise, you better say how great the bike is. And meanwhile, I'm walking it back to my car, it's in pieces. I'm like, So that was the only test experience I had, but I can't imagine these guys in the 70s just throwing it out. Like, who cares? Look at that.
Damn.
So good.
Is that still RL in that shot?
It doesn't. That's RL. Yeah.
Amazing. That's just amazing.
What does RL stand for? I don't even know.
Robert Lawrence, I guess, after his dad, Bob Osborne.
Okay.
Robert. Right. Yeah. I think. I don't know.
I didn't know that either.
One of your
Good question.
Danny, I know this is your favorite, all the parts.
Oh yeah, the buyer's guide.
Yeah.
Look at that wheel. The wheel on the bottom. It looks like a cross between a Motomag and a Tough Wheel. That looks
might be
horrible, but
Let me see. That might be a Webco. Let me see.
Or Lester.
Oh, no. Yeah, Lester. Right. Shannon Pacific. The MX60 is the lightest aluminum mag wheel available. They are precision machined for perfect balance. And they're Shannon Pacifics made in Costa Mesa, California.
that's amazing, Kev. Can you imagine getting a set of those right now? What the value of that would be?
Oh,
That's super rare.
I can't. So here's something crazy. So this page has the Redline stem.
Okay.
Redline stem.
Oh, I recognize that.
And these are called box forks. I wonder what Toby Henderson thought of that, because they're called box forks. Yeah, just like we have today.
That's insane. Those forks look like they have a bend to it, unless I'm looking at it wrong.
Forward rake to them, yeah.
Yeah.
And then these are the Webco mags right there. That's the Webco mags.
That's so awesome. Now you see the red line stem that you pointed out. That thing was heavily copied. All the knockoff bikes that you would see later on in the department stores were doing like knockoff versions of that stem.
That stem and the Cook Brothers Ford slant one are my votes for the prettiest stems ever made.
No way, you like that?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. The way that he put Redline in the top caps on the boulder. I love that. That's sick.
I remember that. Yeah, that was
that's
cool.
awesome.
There's the first ever Mini Goose right there.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, that's the Mini Goose. And it said first Mongoose, then Molly Goose. I don't know what a Molly Goose is, but it says it right here. And then Kevin, you're a big Cook Brothers guy. Cook Brothers sealed hubs.
Look at that, Kev.
Wow. I think it's like $5,000 now.
Jeez.
Well, hey Kevin, do you want to? There's an address here. Did you want to write a letter?
Who knows where that might go to an empty lot at this point.
Cook Brothers on East Edinger and Santa Ana. I actually know where that's at. I actually had a Cook Brothers sponsor for a little while. I had the Cranks. This must have been 92 or something, but they were badass. They were like ovalish, so they weren't flat or anything. Here's a California Cup. This is where it all gets good. I gotta get some light in here. Excuse me for my studio.
Look at that shot, man. Who's the rider in front? Number 5 there. That's a really cool shot.
Yeah, it's just blank with no. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. It doesn't even say.
Doesn't say, huh?
But the other page, Stu Botima and Kevin McNeil. That's classic.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that.
Is that the one that was held at Birmingham High School?
No, that was a qualifier. This is the California Cup. You had to race one of 3 races to qualify for this.
Okay, all right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the Birmingham one was the Yamaha Gold Cup.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I just had lunch with Botima. He's I love him. I check up on him. We stay in contact. He's such a gem to this world. And he saved me in a car wreck one time. That's a whole nother story. But here we are. Here is the Kevin Vegas picture that should have been on the cover. There it is.
Oh my gosh, there it is right there.
So he got in the magazine, not on the cover. Isn't that crazy?
Hey, I would have still taken it. I'm like, that's good enough. At least I'm in there. But man, look at the race shot on the bottom, too.
Stu on the bottom there. That's pretty kick-ass.
Do we know why they changed the cover?
No, man. And now that Mark told me that, I'm like, man, I gotta
I wonder if like Bob wanted the original picture and someone outvoted him or something. Someone said, no, we gotta change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be something to actually, I'd love to ask him one day. There's some side hacks up there.
Oh, check that out. Man, these are great race shots. I wonder if Bob took all these photos.
Bob or Wendy, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, man, and this is funny, but I was watching this old race footage because I was reviewing a race, and you could see Wendy Osborne in there, and I commented, I'm like, damn, Wendy was hot.
I think that was common knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what?
Or Kathy Hanna, right? There were the two blonde girls.
True.
Yeah, I won't say who my first crush was, but anyway. So here's where it gets super good. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Greg Hill in a football helmet.
Oh, that's in his book. I have Greg Hill's book.
And look at
he
Byron's.
has one in there.
Byron's Friday sliding there.
Checking it out. He's completely sideways on that.
Yeah. Look at Greg. That's insane to know that was Greg.
In a football helmet. Wow.
That is so. Yeah, that's amazing. So you guys both love this. I know you guys do. So 7 and Under was won by Gary Renteria on a DG. He went on to do Robinson. Huge.
Okay.
I think let's see, 9-year-old Stevie Skibell, who just passed away recently, DG, had his own DG frame. Ronnie Ames, Pedals Ready GT. Ronnie Ames went on to have his own GT and his own CYC, the CYC Ames Stormer. Yep.
I knew about the Stormer. I didn't know about the GT.
Yeah, I have a CYC Stormer at my house. So 11-year-olds, some guy named Eddie King. On DG, Brian Patterson on R&R, and John Began on Pedals Ready GT. So Eddie, almost said Mikey. Eddie won the 11-year-olds at the California Cup at Corona, September 5th, 1976.
That's amazing.
13-year-olds, Kenny Mingus, we talked about him a ton. 16-year-olds, Brent Patterson won on Champion, it says.
Wow.
I don't even where to go with that, because I know Champion came out a lot later. The Champion came out. Tinker Juarez and Larry Ruiz were both on Mongoose. 16 over, Jeff Botima on DG. He beat some guy named Stu Thompson.
Oh.
On DG. And the support class open was Leo Green on Kawasaki. Leo Green went on to race for Kuahara and stuff. Harry Leary on Race Inc. That's huge.
Wow.
And David Clinton on Suzuki.
So it's interesting to hear the motorcycle names, back then, because you mentioned Suzuki, you mentioned Kawasaki.
Yep.
And it's what kind of puzzles me is, that seemed like a market that these motocross companies could have tapped into and just exploded.
Yeah.
Maybe it was maybe it was too small of a fish for them that they didn't want to we got more, what do we need BMX for?
Yeah.
But still, it could have been a lot of revenue.
Saying that, there's Jimmy Weinert right there, just walking around.
Yep.
Oh.
And he had his own bike as well. So
yeah, ugly bike.
But the teams
Kevin.
Ugly bike, man.
From what I've heard, the teams when Kawasaki and those guys rolled up, it was a full blown big super van with the riders' names on it and the doors open, and it was here come the gods. I guess they had great support. From what I learned from Byron and those guys.
Yeah.
So
DeCoster too with Mongoose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where to boogie in Arizona? So Arizona was already blowing up the first issue. So
look at that.
Yeah, I just sent that. I sent that page to Holly Dunn because she's working on their Hall of Fame. So, dude, come on, look at that, Tinker.
Let's go. That's amazing. Look at that shot. That is what I'm talking about right there.
That's
wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
Look at the tuck. And that dude's still riding, right?
Yeah, he's doing mountain bikes. When I was doing mountain bikes, I was a soigneur, which is like a massage therapist and stuff. I would go travel the World Cup circuit, and I would always yell to him, BMX, when he went by, racing his mountain bike. He and John Tomac, I always used to give those guys shit remember your roots. They're like, whatever, we're making millions now.
Oh, right, yeah.
Look at Tinker without the dreads. It looks like a young Tinker,
Wow, look at that.
Look at that jersey. It's so badass.
Yeah.
Was Tinker in that Chips episode? I can't remember. I know I reviewed that recently.
That was Jack.
Pistol Pete was the smallest guy in that episode.
I saw that. I did see that, and I know there was
Anthony Sewell was in there too, right?
Yeah, Anthony Sewell was there. Litsky or something like that. Am I saying Charlie Litsky or something like that?
Charlie was a mongoose guy, so I believe it was all the Jag guys: Turnell Henry, Tommy, Brackens, like those guys. And then Pete's I was like this little kid, and you see him just putting around the back. I'm like, fast forward 30 years later, he's just smoking fools. But anyway, Yeah, so I guess Tinker was on he's got a Spirit jersey on. So
Look at that shot.
he was known for carving underneath people. That's what it says.
So this is the ground roots of the sport right here, man. This is like where it all came from. So for me to hey, I want to tell you, John, before we continue, I really appreciate you taking the time to share this, because it's something I probably wouldn't have got my hands on. And I didn't want to look it up online, because people have mentioned, oh, maybe you can go online. I'm like, it's not the same thing. I'm not turning the page, feeling it.
Yeah.
So
there's a site that has every magazine, but I like all of our generation, all of us, I'm like, I gotta have it in my hand.
Gotta feel it in your hands. Yeah, absolutely.
And then here's planning a track, and then just look at the ground and the ruts and all that stuff. Like, it was so good. It was motocross, right?
A lot of flat turns, and it's just a whole different world. I got to tell you, when I was at Frogtown, I took some footage of the surface of the track, just to give people an idea and what it's like. And Kevin, you raced at the other one. Dirty Fest. Sorry, I blanked out. But it's just dark dirt, loose dirt, rocks, everything you could think.
It wasn't that bad. It was pretty clean, but it was downhill. That's all I care about.
Yeah, well, for us, we need some gravity on our side for sure. Yeah.
Look at David Clinton throwing it.
Let's go.
Look at him.
That's such a rad shot. That's our first superstar, would you say?
Yeah, 100%. Everybody in that generation.
He's the first sponsored rider in the history of BMX.
Get out of here. Is he really?
He's the very first guy that was ever sponsored on a BMX bike.
Wow.
Period.
So that era, like that era of Greg and Byron and all those guys that I looked up to, they all look up to David Clinton. So like our heroes are like Greg and Stu and everything, and theirs are David Clinton. So that's kind of cool too.
The first guy ever inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Rightfully so, right?
I saw the race of the Yamaha Gold Cup in that big arena or whatever, and he was smoking him. Coliseum. Yeah, he was smoking. Him and Stu would look really fast on these.
They're like spinning these little.
Exactly, it looked funny, like
140s.
Here, this is kind of cool. This kind of hits it home. This is Race Tech by Rob Lynch. Rob Lynch was my employer for a while. I worked at Pedal Power Bikes.
Did you really?
Yeah, and Rob was my boss, and I loved the Pedal Power uniform. It was blue and yellow. It looked so good. Lee Donovan, Lonnie Tatton, Dugan Neal, Joe Tippett. Like, I always wanted that. So I asked Lonnie, I go, can I get your jersey? And he goes, yeah, sure. And I end up working there. I'm like, well, I didn't need that. I work here now. But Rob was cool. Rob had his demons too, but Rob was always nice to me. And I know he kind of made some people angry. Like, we've all heard the stories, but he was always okay. So
I heard when I talked to Holly, she told me a story about how Rob left her at the track.
Yeah,
and then Joe told me, dude, he did that to everybody. He didn't do it just once. He did it a couple times.
Left her at the track? Can you elaborate on that? What happened?
You got to listen to the episode.
Bandbagging or something.
Okay.
She wasn't doing what it was like a team trophy thing where she was supposed to win something or she was supposed to do something and she didn't do it. She sat down and she's like, I'm not going to do this or whatever. So he just threw her bag out and he took her stuff with him. He just took off.
Oh crap! That's crazy.
For those of you who watched my Holly Dunn episode, she tells the whole story.
Yeah, I'm going back to that one tomorrow, Kevin. I'll watch that one tomorrow.
Kevin McNeil.
Let's go. That's awesome. And hey, I'm going to say, it's the 70s, and look at the photography work here.
Well, it's Bob, right? Bob's iconic, right? Like that's Bob.
That's amazing. Yep.
And then Jeff Botima on the other side.
Oh, that looks great.
Yeah, I love Jeff. Jeff was the first episode I ever did on Lunch with the Legends on YouTube. So
no way.
Yeah.
When you look at this magazine, it makes you think for a second because it's so visually pleasing that it sold. I mean, kids that probably had nothing to do with BMX liked looking at it. And I can tell you guys, when I was in elementary school, every once in a while I'd bring a magazine with me and I'd be thumbing through it at my desk, and every kid wanted to look at it. like, oh, can I look at it? Can I look at it? And they had nothing to do with BMX because of the photos in there. They just wanted to see them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And on the other side of things, John Carr, New Jersey BMX Hall of Famer, John Carr, actually the same thing. You saw those photos with what Bob and John were doing, and you're like, come on, like, you're drawn in, right? And all of us sat there and went, oh, so this guy has this brake lever, and this guy has this pad, and this guy has this.
Right.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Here's another, just the race footage, like you're saying, like that's Kenny Mingus again, killing the game. Like, yeah.
Look at that. I love the detail of that. So, like, I just like to see what they're riding, what the number plate was.
Yep.
I'm seeing a lot of oval number plates, square number plates. So we haven't got to that part where Bob changed the game, Bob Harrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can see that was the typical plate. That, you know what I mean? I had an oval one, and I've had square ones. So it's really cool to see that.
Dude, the trickiest thing on a number plate is to have it on the back on those chainstay. That is bitching.
The Seika side plate.
Have you ever seen pictures of that, Danny?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that is badass, dude. I'm like, oh, man.
Well, Seika came out with the Seika side plates, and Toby Henderson had to run them. He was sponsored. So
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, Toby ran the Seika side plates for a while.
Those are sick.
Yeah, a bunch of side hack stuff. If you're a side hack guy.
You know, it's funny that I'm seeing side hacks, you know, that are like kind of the normal then, and now it's abnormal now, except it's making a comeback. Because if you go to a lot of these, you know, the throwback races, there's side hacks there. They do side hacks at the Grands now, and that's really cool. I'm glad to see that coming back. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and Mike's going to have a whole 30
Say again, Kev?
Was Gary Littlejohn the first guy to make a side hack? I think
Ooh.
he was.
That's a tough one.
I don't know, Kev. That's a good question.
That is one that I won't be yelling at.
Mossy Rides Bikes. He did one on Gary Littlejohn. I think it's in
Oh,
there.
did it really?
Wow.
We're going to have to research all this stuff.
This is for Kevin, a picture of Wendy.
I told you she was hot. Not crazy.
I'm a Kathy Hanna fan myself, dude.
Oh, okay. Kathy Hanna.
Was she related to Bob Hanna? I always wondered.
No.
No relation.
No, did she spell it even different? I think she was Hanna and he was Hannah.
I never paid that much attention, dude.
Hey, I'm a weirdo. Here it is, how to customize your pedals so you do better.
Look at that. That's awesome. So those pedals right there, those were typically on pretty much any bike you buy back then. I think that was kind of a basic pedal until the KKTs or whatever came out and all the different types of modern.
Yeah, these were the Union rat traps.
Rat traps. There you go. That's what they were called. Yeah. Those things would literally just fall apart after a while. They'd bend easy and they'd just fall apart.
But when I was a kid, because my parents always erred on the cheaper side of things, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And I was always like, I wanted Reedies. Reedies were like the bomb things. My dad's like, well, I got you KKT Lightnings. They were $18. And I go, cool, thanks. Like, you don't have to tell me how much they were. But yeah, I got KKT Lightnings. I thought they were the greatest thing ever.
Those were so trickling in the anodized colors of all the KKT Lightning. Yep. Yeah, very cool pedal. Very cool pedal.
I was running rubber block pedals, man.
For real?
Yeah, for a while. Before I got
remember those.
What happens when you slip? It comes back and hits you? Or you're on a coaster break?
We used to run with no shoes on.
Look, I was in Jersey. It was butt cold. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
If you guys are looking for $1 bumper sticker, here you go.
Look at that. That's so cool, man.
They were only $1. If you guys want one, I'll go ahead and get you a couple.
Maybe I can order it online.
Yeah, it says right here, bmxweekly.com. Just kidding, man.
Yeah.
So there's Stu in an ad for to subscribe.
Was he a DG?
Yeah, it looks like he always had the DG helmet. So yeah, that would be.
I love that shot, man. There's so much detail in there.
I got one, so.
Man.
350. Subscribe now, and the Zero Zoomy Super Cheapo Introduction Special Rates for 1 year, 6 issues, $3.50.
Wow, that's pretty reasonable.
And if you want to get a Jam and Jimmy Weinert shirt, I know you do. There, I'll get you guys one of these too.
Ugly bike, dude.
You don't like the Weinerts?
The R&Rs and the Weinerts were too. They were I didn't like them.
Too ugly for you?
They were way smashed. Like, what was the one that is it? An A&A or an R&R? An A&A. What's the one that's like the seat tube's like a foot long and it's real low profile.
Was it R&R? It might be R&R, right?
I don't know that one for sure, man.
Anyway,
here's the Webco mags, looking pretty good.
Oh, those are awesome.
My neighbor had a Webco, and that was like, oh my God, that's a BMX bike. I don't remember Webco mags that much. I just always Moto mags, right?
That would be a good episode to find out what because I know nothing about Webco.
Oh
yeah, I know the name, but the history of it, not so much.
Yeah.
So you'd have to research that one. Yeah.
Yeah, my neighbor had one in 79, and I thought it was like I had my fat seat and my fenders, and he rolls up with this thing. I go, what is that? Like, yeah, Webcos are just. How about this? The first ever GT ad.
Oh, that is awesome. And and look at the geometry on that is trick, and this is the 70s.
Yeah, and attic sprockets.
Wow, I love them.
Those things suck.
Yeah, Andy Patterson rode for them actually.
Yeah.
There's the MX.
Here's my. Let me interject real quick. That GT almost had perfect geometry for the time, and then why would Redline come out with the MX2 and screw everything up, man? With that stupid seat post and the raked out head tube. Like, I never understood that. Like, why would you? Who thought? I guess if I ever talked to Byron, I'd ask him, why the hell did Redline change the design? Was it because of Stu?
I don't know, John, but if you ever want to piss off Kevin, just bring up the Redline MX2. It's like a trigger for this guy.
Okay, listen. So that after my Cycle Pro Macho, my first real bike was a Redline MX2.
Wow.
Yeah, I had one, and it was black with red decals. And when I talked to Rob Lane, I love Rob Lane. His museum is ridiculous. He was like, "Oh no, those were rare," and I was like, "I didn't think they were rare." He said, "No, the black ones with the red were pretty rare." And I go, "I had one, I didn't even know it." So,
wow, that's pretty cool.
But I was, everyone in the neighborhood. Did you guys have neighborhoods where you had like the GT guy was the Greg Hill guy, and the Stu guy was the Redline guy? Did you have that?
Yeah, and there was a lot of Diamondbacks in my. I remember those were the first trick bikes I saw in my neighborhood, and I'm going to bring up a subject that's kind of off topic, but I brought this up before in one of my videos. Is there was all these kids in my neighborhoods that had these trick race bikes but never raced, and those were the kids that had the biggest attitude. Oh, your bike sucks. Your bike's cheap. And I go, oh, do you race? No. Then what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a Diamondback kid. We had a Diamondback kid in our neighborhood that didn't race either. That's weird you say that.
There you go. Yeah.
we had a guy that my school that he was the biggest stoner in the whole damn city, and he rolls up to the park one day on a brand new JMC Black Shadow, and with all the trinkets and doodads on it, and I'm like, dude, you couldn't bunny hop a curb, man. You make me sick.
That's hella funny. I love that.
Long hair, just like, hey, what's up, man? On this, on this $600 bike. I'm like, dude. In our city, we were the guys, dude. In our city, guys looked up to us. When we were jumping, like, my brother would actually buy a bike and ride it for a year, and then sell it to someone else for more than what he paid for it new, and then he would upgrade his bike all the time. That was his big joke.
Oh,
we were the guys. We were like this. We were the stars of our time.
That's
3 more
amazing.
pages to go. This is a pretty badass one. This is Crystal Bradshaw, who was an absolute killer. But the girl that's sliding out is Liz Torres, also known as Mrs. Greg.
Oh, that's Greg's wife. Hey, she was an absolute badass as a racer then.
Yeah, she was actually sponsored by Webco for a while.
Damn.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
her on a Webco right there. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yep. And then we got the first ever Redline ad.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
I'm like
I
a
don't
kid
know
in
if
a candy store.
that might be Byron. It might be. I don't know. I don't know. 29 doesn't remember being one of his members, but
So I wonder when Stu joined Redline, that had because he was SE first, and
yeah,
I know Redline took him, but I'm
80,
wondering what that timeline
like
was.
80, 81,
yeah,
maybe.
80.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. He was racing 80 for sure. No, because there's the Armorillo 81, I'm going to say.
81.
I'm going to say. But wait,
Yeah.
did he win the title in 80 on Redline? He might have.
Oh, I think it is 80 because Greg Hill was talking about that they kept extending the series when he said, I already had that buttoned up,
Yeah.
and they kept adding races to it. And I think he was on Redline, so I think you're right about that.
Yeah, and there's a picture of Armorillo where he's got his arm up like this. Oh no, he's on SE because he had his arm up, and they said he's pointing to the Redline banner, and that would have been 80, and that's when he went over to Redline in 81.
Oh, awesome.
I think.
That's good, man.
I'm a weirdo. Maybe I'm right.
And then
No, I like all his knowledge, man.
Here's where all the money goes on the back cover. That's
There you go. There you go. So that right there, I remember seeing this ad, and I don't know how I saw it. It must have been from an early BMX magazine like that one, but I remember that ad. That's amazing looking. Love it.
Yeah. So I always look at this now and I go, because I own the 4 volumes of Elaine Holt's BMX News. Like I own all those, and I look and I go, these are literally, I didn't see any GT ads in there, and I didn't see any, like, so there's a lot of these are first time ads. I know this Redline ad might have been in there, but like the J&G wasn't in there, the Super Cheetah. So like a lot of companies just saw that this probably wasn't a newspaper, it was more of a magazine. I think they may have jumped on it.
I didn't see any Skyway in there.
Nope.
At all. Nothing.
Nope.
A lot of Webco, different types of mag wheels, but I didn't see anything Skyway in there. And I know they existed because we just talked about that, Kev. They came out in like 74.
They didn't do a wheel. What was it? 70? What did we say?
74.
74. Yeah. Okay.
No way. Yeah. So, but I mean, Lester's, like Kevin said, Lester's were around. Webcos were around. I saw that. That other weird company, and then Webco or the Motomag. So like Skyway Tufts must have been. God, why do I think I remember that? I remember them in 80, right? There was an ad where PK and Greg and Stu were all jumping in like not traditional race gear.
They had colored duck wheels on them, right?
Yeah.
I got those right there. So, those right there are Gen 1 on my Matthews.
You're just gonna say you got Gen 1 Tufts on a Matthews, like that's not a big deal.
Well, I like it. I mean, it's they're around, but I paid a lot of money for those Gen 1s. But yeah, I can't stand because the Matthews. What I didn't realize was that Matthews were sold in Montgomery Ward. Man, they weren't even out of a bike shop.
Wow. For real?
Yeah, they were like, there's ads online for you getting your Matthews. They had these huge motorcycle handlebars, and they had spoke wheels on them and stuff, like double gauge spoke wheels, and walled wheels. Anyways,
I remember walled.
Yeah.
Walled cranks were terrible. I bent like 10 pairs of walled cranks.
walled bars, dude.
Yeah, but bikes weren't meant to do that. That's what my dad said. They're just not meant to do that.
Crazy, man.
Not according to Bill Leap and Jones. He's like, watch this shit.
Well, if you think of collector bikes,
before we close this thing up, can you tell people? Can you share what you're doing now with the public, with the viewers? Because what I'm very jealous of. You know everybody, and you've talked to some real powerhouses. Can you share what you got going over on your channel so people can go over there and check you out?
Sure. It's so funny because I just had a phone call before I got on here, which is another thing I'm doing. All right, so I'm the administrator of the BMX Legends Society and the New Jersey BMX Hall of Fame on Facebook. So most of the time I put stuff on the Legends Society, and I was doing lives off of that with my podcast, which is Lunch with the Legends. And I started to do that, and I go, well, I should put it over to YouTube. But I was getting thousands of people watching it on Facebook. Now I'm trying to jump it over and create. You guys all know this. So I went over to YouTube, and if you look up BMX Legends Society Lunch with the Legends, that's where I'm at. That's where I do my Lunch with the Legends. It's an hour sit down. I buy the person breakfast or lunch, and they're usually good friends of mine from back in the day. So that's awesome. I've been doing that. I just started to work on my nominee process for year 2 of the New Jersey BMX Hall of Fame, which is awesome. We had a great time last year. I mean, it was amazing. All stories Jersey based. I got off the phone today with a local BMX track and pump track. I have a company called BMX Event Services. So what I do is I go to Parks and Rec and I say, man, your pump track and your BMX track, they needs a haul, needs an overhaul. So I'm working with a lot of different communities on building their pump tracks or BMX tracks to be better, so we can get kids off of video games and back on bikes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to do. I'm also doing the BMX Action. Yeah, so that's from the heart. I'm also doing the BMX Action calendar relaunch. It's taken a while, but I want to make it like you just can't come out of the gate with like, I just did this in a year. So I've been building that for like the last year. It includes vintage and regular racing. I go to all the races around here and all the vintage. I get photos of that. So I've been doing that. BMX boxing organization. Kevin, you want to talk about that? So I started a BMX boxing organization because so many people. This is great. This is great. I'm glad we're talking about this. So the BMX boxing organization was so many people were just heckling each other online. Oh, I'll do this to you. I'll do this. I said, all right, cool. I got 28 years in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like I teach. So let's get everybody together. And the only 2 people to step up and want to do it are Kevin and Ronnie Anderson.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not trying to get hit in the face. So you guys knock yourselves out.
I was totally fooled. I thought he was like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu champion or something. Because that picture of him and Pistol Pete, I was like, I think he has some training, but apparently not.
Well, there is somebody that won a jiu-jitsu black belt tournament that's really close to this podcast. Moving on. So I have. That's a fact. But yeah, so my whole thing with that was like, if you guys are going to talk smack, don't do it here. Let's do it. Let's come together. We'll create a cool event. And you 2 were the only 2 people. Everybody else kind of fell away and kind of just fell off. And I was like, man, you guys stepped up. So all that's going on in my life. And I love it. Every day I get up, and if I'm not working on a movie or TV show, I'm trying to get sponsors for the Hall of Fame, or create an event at the local pump track, or get online and get all my photos out to all the things, and then watch your guys' stuff too. So
nice, man.
Lunch with the Legends is cool. It's taken off. People like it. It's intimate. It's fun. I try and, like Kevin, I really honor when you were like, no, the way you do it is you kind of get in there to the mental scope of these dudes, and you kind of.
And you go deep. Like I wouldn't, my dream. I don't want to get into it, but I would want to go in deep, like you do, maybe even deeper. But I'm too superficial, dude. I'm too much of having fun and talking about the fun stuff. But you have a way of worming your way in and asking the good questions, the ones that people would want to review or reveal information that's not on Wikipedia. That's my big thing. When I talk to like Ronnie or other guys that have Wikipedia pages, it's like everybody can read what's on Wikipedia. I want to find out what's not on Wikipedia. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so, I have an advantage of knowing most of these people for over 35 years. So
that helps.
I moved to California in '88. I was already a pro, and we started to all move in and live together and race and hang out with everybody. So these little little cells of people were all. I'm going to work with Eric Carter. He was supposed to do one with me yesterday, but I've known Eric, and we've gotten into some crazy times together since we were kids. So it's like, I'll just call him up, or Brian Lopes. It's like, and then Greg and I go back like bashing heads since I don't know when. So it's like they're friends. And I think from traveling with them all these years, I kind of know, I met their parents, so it's kind of cool to I stayed on their couch. So to ask these questions, it's just, they've been friends. We all went to mountain biking, most of us, and continued that journey. So it's fun because there's a couple of guys I never talk to, and I don't know much about, but I usually go, hey, we're bros, Top Laser and TC and I were roommates together for a long time. So it's fun because I know them. So I'm not going like trying to reach up to Michael Jordan and go, hey, cool
That's
shoes.
what
Yeah.
I know them. I know most of them for over 30 years. So that totally helps, you know?
Totally, man. Totally. Well, John, I appreciate you coming on, bro. I appreciate, I think I speak, well, I'll let Danny speak for himself, but I want to say thank you very much. As always, you've always been a great guest, very accommodating, very informative, and very entertaining. So I appreciate that, man. Danny, what do you have to say, bud?
That was a good experience, man. I really enjoyed the magazine, and talking to John, and his knowledge of the sport is endless. And he's obviously, with all the connections, all the people you've known, your stories could probably go on and on. We could just do segment after segment on stories that you probably have up here in your gray matter. So, man, if you ever want to get together, and if you just got a group of stories that you just want to share with Kevin and I, man, anytime, because I got questions. And sometimes I'll tell you honestly, I'm not an interview guy. I've only interviewed one pro, and I'm doing my own thing and hanging out with Kevin. But sometimes I watch a podcast or I watch a show and they're interviewing, and I go, man, ask him this, ask him that, And in my mind, I just want, I think you were relating to that, Kevin. And I'm like, I just want to know. Like, for example, when I was talking to Terry, I knew that he got dropped from GT, and I knew why, but I didn't want to come out and ask him. So I said, hey, man, you've been controversial. So what, you were on GT. What happened? And he just broke it down. I didn't have to, I didn't sugarcoat it. He's like, well, I bought a big old thing of weed and I was selling to all the pros. And I was like, damn, he just let me know. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I love to get into that. And hey, we talked a lot about Scott. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, and this is off topic, if somebody had the wherewithal to make a movie about that SE racing tour, I think that would be epic. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Being a cinematographer, I have been in talks with a producer that we all know and love, and he has a script that was written by a BMX guy. So,
no way!
Wow.
And check this out. I don't know what I can and cannot say, but maybe someone involved in this whole process of a future thing may have been around that bus. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
That would be amazing. I definitely would be behind that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Dan, you want to plug your channel, bro? You explain it better than I do.
I missed it. What?
Danny, do you want to plug your channel?
Sorry. I thought you were talking to John. Yeah, I'm on YouTube. You're going to find me there primarily under Danny Pena BMX Racing. As far as what my goal is I go over magazines. Obviously, that's how it all started for me. I just did it on a whim one night, and the next thing I know, I'm like, that's all I do. I love looking at old BMX races, mid-school, new school. I mash them all together, make videos. I like looking at old BMX commercials. Anything that's BMX racing related, I kind of mash it into a video and make a little series out of that. And I have gone to live events and have filmed some races like Frogtown. I went to the Summer Nationals for USA BMX last year, did some filming there. And I'm still working on that. I'm not that great at that, but, that's a work in progress. And I still haven't found my wheelhouse yet. But, yeah, I'd love if you guys could come to my channel, check it out, like and subscribe. I'm trying to build that thing up. And there's a huge audience out there, BMX racers. And what we're doing, I think, is super critical because we're keeping the history alive, because once we're gone, that's it. So, I mean, I think it's really important, especially what John's doing and so forth. That's all I got.
Nice. Yeah. Well, from myself, Kevin Wilson, this is my channel. Obviously, I want to thank everybody for coming by. It's without people, stand up, good people like John and Danny, I wouldn't be here. So thank you, gentlemen. I called Mike Miranda a gentleman. He got mad at me. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. I appreciate it. And for everybody that's been watching, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm the only guy that never won a national. I was never on a factory team, but I still love BMX anyways. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you'd like to support my podcast, you can visit me at www.bmxpertspodcast.com, and you can grab a hat or a shirt or something, or subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time out of your night to visit us. And until next week, gentlemen, the track is closed.
See you guys later.
Wait, dinner time.